when in fact they were here perfectly timed to play some Starcraft 2 in the top right-hand side. Our Red Zerg player opening up with the 12 pool on Jagannatha. This is Rogue. Clicking on the blue Protoss down in the bottom left-hand side, we have got ourselves Creator from Team NV. As we get into game number 1 of this best of 3, just going to be seeing a probe coming up and building up a gateway to the top side here at the front. And just going to be seeing the spawning pool obviously continuing along as well. No scout from Creator, so he doesn't get a heads up on this being a 12 pool. I completely lied. I didn't see this probe. I apologize. It was a super early probe to come and put the hatch block down. My apologies. You know, start of the day, I'm going to forgive myself. It's Sunday morning / early afternoon. This drone really is trying to be like, I want to take this base. Now, Creator hasn't actually checked the main base yet. He's going to go up now and he will realize, oh my goodness, there are lings on the way out. You can see this drone really doesn't want to build the hatchery over here. You've already put yourself behind on economy by 12 pooling. The last thing you want to do is to then take the base out of position as well. On top of that, that really is like worst case scenario. No pylon finish here. If you finish this pylon, you don't have as much money to defend with back at home because you also need money to wall off with, etc. So it cancels that pylon, doesn't let it finish. That means this hatchery can go down as the Zerglings make their way out across to the bottom side of the map. Lings at the front, pylon taking a couple shots of damage, as obviously these Lings are going to try and see what they can do. The pylon on the wall, obviously a weaker point. It doesn't power everything here, right? But it's just an easy target for the Lings because it has low HP. There's a probe there that might go down. The Lings are going to keep on fighting this Zealot. Bro kind of believes this is a decent idea. He's going to go for now the probe, maybe, which builds the Nexus. Remember, there are also the Lings up in the main base, and they are desperately aiming for another probe kill. And that's going to bring us up to 2 probes in total going down. Not really ideal for Rogue. I mean, he's going to get maybe a couple more Lings to force another probe pull, but I don't know if this really did anywhere near what he wanted it to. As now Creator can send 2 Zealots across the map, so now you can start to apply some pressure out on the other side of the map as well. That's obviously going to be pretty good for you. There's a lot of things I'm not really liking right now for Rogue, right? It's just, I don't know if it's just not done enough, really, at the end of the day. That's where I kind of stand on this situation, as we just see our Adept continue to shade through, going to chase down that Zergling. Just going to go and do that, and yeah, that's where we currently stand, as we just have a couple of Zealots making their way forward. Little Zealots hanging around out the front. As we get set up into this. So I see the 2 Adepts coming around as well. It's just making their way over. Going to be seeing the couple of drones going down with the Adepts up in the main base. They are going to start fighting some damage here. Rogue is... he's really in trouble, man. Just the damage he keeps on taking. Now these Adepts shade down. Shaded right into the path of Queens. So it's a decent effort from the Queens to block there and to actually give you a little bit of hope here, perhaps. Because that was not really looking too pretty, was it? That was not looking too pretty in the slightest. But we recover, and as we're going to be seeing this drone coming out to the 3rd hatch, obviously that's delayed based on everything that's happened here so far as well. Here comes our Oracle of Creator, going to make its way out across to the upper right-hand side, so it's going to start off on a little bit of a journey right now. Gonna go and try and deal some damage. Spore Queen in location, so defensively speaking, Rogue is in a pretty decent spot, right? Is able to turn that around without too much issue. Couple drones going down. Yeah, the Oracle trying to see what's going on. Rotron, but the top side just going to come down as well from Rogue. I mean, Creator is going to go into one Void Ray now, a second Oracle, and just going to get a Robo down as well. So he's very happy to play a ground-focused composition on the follow-up to this. So that's where we're starting to head on over to right now. Couple sentries there to keep the Zerglings back as well. Rotron is going to be coming up on the natural. Lair is on the way on the nat as well. And just a few extra drones continue to come on in as the Oracle starts up on the Stargate. So, yeah, all of this getting going. Orca's going to recall back and just going to move forward now. Going to go after a few of these Zerglings. So a few Lings getting picked away as they get pushed out into the center. 9 more drones in production. I mean, the Oracle's getting forced back home is nice. It gives Rogue a bit of breathing room, right? A few moments here where he doesn't have to worry about all too much. I mean, a single Void Ray is not the craziest thing out here. It's not going to find like a ton of damage right away or anything, right? So Void Ray gets held back. +1 missiles and road speed coming in the meantime, and again, some extra Overlords continuing up. The Overseer moving in at the front as well. Oracle just going to, again, keep the Lings away. Obviously, the power of the triple Oracle is that you have one Oracle at home while having still a good amount of Oracles to attack with. Creator's getting aggressive right now. I don't hate it. You know, the first Roaches aren't even on the map just yet. What's important, though, is that you don't overcommit in, because it's very easy to have this set of units very, quickly become overwhelmed by reinforcements. And you don't have a Prism to warp in with or anything. You know, the Oracle's a good support. I like this one, if nothing else, than other to just, 4th base wasn't here. So maybe you look for a cancel in the 4th base, back away. 4th wasn't there, so you just backed away early. That sort of thing, I think, is exactly what Creator wants to do in this scenario. And it's, to me, exactly what he, did. It doesn't feel like he did a lot, because at the end of the day, he just walked home very early. But also, he didn't really need to commit around, put too much else. Is just going to be seeing a couple Oracles get chased away down the right side. The Queen's putting some damage there, so the Oracle's taking hits. And the Void just going to put some damage out. A Crypt Tumor 2 taking hits, Hantry taking some damage also. These Roaches are going to start from Rogue to head down to the bottom side of the map. So Roaches trying to head out down to the south. Got +1 missiles about to kick in. Storm on the Templar Archive is going to be finishing up in just a few moments as well. Lings, Roaches, still the production, but now the Swarm Hosts on the way. The Infestation Pit came up, opened the pathway to these Swarm Hosts, so we have access to something right now which can realistically, maybe possibly, come through and to really kind of shut down this army of Creator. Now, Storm's on the way. That will be great against the Locust, but that's about it. Oracle's going to go up the right-hand side, see where they can go. Yeah, a couple of Queens. Nice play with the Oracles, right? And obviously the Oracles in general will still be able to track these Swarm Hosts, and it's one of the powers of still having Oracles up. Typically, if you kind of play in Swarm Host Nidus, what you would see is these Oracles are very important to deny the Nidus networks and deny the Swarm Hosts from getting out and about on the map. This is not a Nidus style, though, from Rogue. This is actually just going to be straight up. The Swarm Host is going to walk across the map, and he's going to come in and try and just bust Creator here with, like, straight up frontal pressure. It doesn't really... you actually get a lot of mobility from here. You can go to multiple different bases very quickly, so you don't really need the Nidus once the Swarm Hosts are across the map. The only good thing is maybe having a retreat path. First round of Locusts gets stormed immediately and really did just take a bunch of damages. Now, Oracles are going to chase some Ravagers down. Rogue does not have the amazing first round of Locusts that you're looking for. It's a little concerned because the first round of Locusts is usually the one which is like, oh, I catch you a little bit off guard. Your preparation for this maybe isn't perfect yet. And Creator used, what, like a total of 2 storms or something to deal with it? It's not even like he kind of forced a lot out of Creator. So, and then the next wave is likely to do more because he's used up all the storms or something. It's not like that in the slightest. More storms already coming down. Locusts are going to try splitting up. My Templar's out of energy right now, I think, but Creator may just get away with just running away from this. He's dealing with the Roaches in the bottom right-hand corner as well, and I've just got to say, Creator playing a pretty good game right now. He does let the Locust land. He loses an Archon. So is actually at the moment out of storms, and that might be something he wants to replace right away. He's building a disruptor, more stalkers on the way up. I'm just going to be seeing the rest of this army still coming through the center. So another Ravager morphing in. We're going to see roaches and so on going in towards this set of rocks. Cleaning this out and opening up the middle of the map just that little bit extra. Meanwhile, Blink +2, both of these on the way up as well. As the Locusts spawn up, we move into this once again. I mean, now you've got cannons, a couple batteries here. First storm comes down. That's the only storm in the game, right? There's only one High Templar available. Very interesting that he's just kind of left the storm behind. You know, I get it, right? Storm is not immediately going to kill off these, like, swarm hosts or anything, but I did imagine the storm being, like, a good tool to continue dealing with the Locust, but Creator just doesn't feel like he wants any more of it, which, like I say, I kind of find very surprising. As he blinks forward here, these Immortals are doing a good job. This Disruptor was like, where am I going to go? He's like just spinning around like, I don't know where I'm going to land. He landed in the middle of nothing. It was incredible. It's almost like he like gravitated around all of the units. Like he spun around them, like bonked off, like bounced off all of them. And then he eventually just kind of went down the hole in the middle, right? It's like, nah, zero prize. Oh no, these Stalkers just blinked on too many roaches, and this game just got out of control for Creator. Man, after the first wave of Locust did so poorly, I'm always such a believer in the Protoss, but man, he just did not have any way to continue following this up. That was the problem. That was a huge problem. When the Disruptor shot comes through, roaches get chased away just like that. Big boom. A bunch of roaches going down, and now Immortals continue to make their way forward. Storm down on top of the Immortal roaches that try and run on in. And these Stalkers going to pull back. These Immortals in a little bit of trouble. Locusts are going to start dropping down on the right-hand side, chasing the Stalkers away. Disruptor shot fires through. A few more roaches taking hits. And it looks as though we are going to be having Rogue just having a little bit too much here in the end. Creator types GG in our first game of the day. Goes the way of Rogue. Wow. How the heck did that one happen? Just what? Creator is gonna open or change up this time around. Yeah, I mean, like, it's a tough one, right? It's a really tough one because you're kind of playing a situation here as Creator where you really got off to, like, one of the best possible starts. You know, his 4th base was delayed. The 12 pool didn't do nothing. But it didn't do... it didn't do a lot, really, right? So yeah, a little bit rough in that regard. As we get ourselves starting up here. Similar will go down from Creator on the side. The Overlord of Rogue making its way across. Hopefully Creator can bounce back from what really is a tough defeat, right? Like, it's one of the more difficult defeats to handle, I reckon. When you get ahead like that and then it falls away. We'll head to the upper right. The Nexus is going to be placed down from Creator over in the Natural. And we'll see the Hatchery of Rogue down on the 6 o'clock position as well. So getting that down and into position. Cybercore now on the way. Gonna see a few more probes being produced. So bringing these out. Assimilator going down off over to the side as well. So plenty of action happening at the moment. It's just going to be seeing our setup right now from Creator and Rogue looking pretty standard. Without the 12 pool, right, there's not a lot to talk about immediately compared to what we just had in game number 1. So yeah, just a little chill opening. See where this is gonna go. Adept starts a Chrono Boost out from Creator, gonna rally out to the front here. Drone's just going to go down to the 6 o'clock, so again, they're getting set up down the bottom side. Stargate's on the way in the main base. And yeah, we continue to get this set up to see just where things are gonna end up in all of this. Now, wouldn't be surprised if Creator goes into something like a double Stargate kind of style this time around, right? After not having too successful of a time last time, despite the strong opening. Wouldn't be surprised to see like double Stargate Voids kind of be the go-to to kind of follow up from a game like that. Something that we know is very stable and sturdy in the metagame, and something we know can do very, we know can do, come out to be very effective and so on. Void Ray coming through. Chrono boosting out. Another gate going down, Oracle coming through as well. So again, getting this set up and ready to go. Thing's gonna head out down to the bottom side as well, so away they go. The next few moments. Heading down the bottom, couple of queens setting up from Rogue over here. They're just gonna sit out the front of this third base. As do still have the Stargate number 2 on the way in, so it wasn't Oracle to open, but to follow up from the first Void Ray, but we should go into more Void Rays now. That should be the way that this ends up playing out. Oracle comes in, bunch of drones already dropping, 4 workers down, make that 5. So 5 workers get killed off here, and just going to see this Oracle going to go over into the natural, where we find one more drone. And it's going to go down, but I mean, very successful Oracle. I actually don't mind losing the Oracle. Yeah, you lose some map control and stuff, but for 6 drones already? I say that's pretty darn good. And now these Adepts show up for even more damage. They go up into the main base, so Lings are pretty slow to get here, and this is just Rogue taking way too much damage. Like, what is going on? Why is he losing 11 workers at the 5-minute marker? Creator has once again found himself in an amazing early game position this time. We hope he can actually follow it up and play it out into something of a victory and take us to a game 3, because this is a fantastic start from him. Lings out around down the bottom, trying to see what's going on. I'm just gonna go in. Probe taking a few shots is gonna turn around and get that Zergling kill. The Zerglings, the other ones, now running out down the bottom here from Rogue. We see a few of these Adepts are making their way down. They shade through to no avail. There's just plenty of Lings there. I'm gonna lie, the Void Ray count is not really astounding, right? It's been pretty slow on Void Ray production, and feels like it's not being consistent out of both those Stargates. We go into maybe a bit of a faster Robo base, so we're gonna start seeing the Disruptors on the follow-up to this. It's been one of the stars which actually really originated, I want to say, in Europe, and really came through to Korea a little bit. I know Stats picked it up as these Lings and Queens just going to go in towards those rocks. So Void's going to make their way into the main base, though, and as they come through, instantly just going to laser down a Spore. But I say instantly, took a while, and he actually loses a Void Ray. When you haven't been constantly building Void Rays, this has me a bit worried for you, because the Void Ray count is really just not great. So a lot of what really defends against a lot of the Zerg aggression is just not really around. Things come in, the Queen's going to go fighting against those rocks as well. It's just going to clean that out. Again, opening up a little bit more space here once again. As the Lings do clean up there. Just going to be seeing these Void Rays are going to come through, and they're going to take down a hatchery pretty much right away. So hatchery goes down, at least denying the 4th base. And, well, I mean, don't get me wrong, Rogue still being the one to take a lot of damage. Let's see how these Swarm Hosts turn out. The Void Rays into the main base, going for Overlords. Well, they got themselves very committed there. If they don't lose one, it's very fortunate, because I feel like with better stutter step, those Queens Could have done a lot. And there's just nothing at home right now. Like, the Void Rays are on their way back, kind of, some of them. The Swarm Host didn't keep moving. If the Swarm Host kept moving and, like, Swarm Hosted the main base, I think that's probably a dead Nexus or something at the moment. But obviously the Swarm Host didn't keep moving. They kind of hung back, and you kind of want to believe that maybe he's afraid of the Voids finding them. But at the same time, all the Voids were down on the bottom left at that point, so it was probably your best moment to get up here and strike without the Void Rays being in position and stuff, you know? Alright, Molings and Swarm Hosts coming through around the center. The Queens as well, showing up and just going to turn the Void Rays around. So pushing that away, and again, just going to be seeing the rest of this from Rogue continuing through. Lingroach Ravager making its way forward, going to knock down this set of rocks here, and Swarm Hosts going to pop up, going to make their way up to the top side to see just what they might be able to get done here. So Locusts make their way through. Gonna start landing down. Just gonna be seeing everything starting to get cleaned out a little bit. These disruptors want to come in from the other side of this. I mean, obviously the super battery helps you to hold off. You maintain 200 supply here as Rogue. You're making your way into a Hydra Den. The Creator kind of holds on with a little bit more than he had last time too, but this time there are the Queens around. Big disruptor shots actually starting off and hitting a lot of the Ravagers too. The Queens go down. They didn't get fully healed before that connection. And that's obviously a little bit sad, because any transfusion right now is going to become critical to keeping everything else up and running. Take down these rocks. Going to see another disruptor shot coming through. Boom, hits a Ravager once again. Now some more Locusts going to continue to chase on into this, and they start to drop down. Cannon, battery, pile on, all of this in a lot of trouble. Disruptor shot again hits for just a few Locusts. This is going to be a turn away. This is going to be Creator pushing this back and defending on the top side of the map. So Creator holds once again. Actually has a fourth base up off to the right-hand side. I was kind of expecting that to be a... I kind of expected that to maybe be a bigger target for Rogue before now. If Creator actually can keep this fourth base up and mine from it, that's genuinely a little bit of a problem, right? Void's coming in. Disruptors will land just on a Queen or so. I mean, the thing is, the Queens don't get one-shot. The Swarm Hosts don't get one-shot by Disruptors. Obviously, you do chip away at them. You bring units low HP. You force some transfusions. It is slowly getting somewhere. I'm a little bit worried about this attack. I feel like there's not a lot to really deal with these Locusts. The Disruptors already start going down. Multiple. I think there's only one remaining in the background. It has a shot available. It's going to fire onto Locusts that are pretty much dead anyway. Now the Hydras are showing up, so these Void Rays are no longer really a defensive unit that's meant to be in this game, because the Hydras are going to be able to deal with them. Oh my god, Mothership and Carriers are on the way out. Can Creator get to that point of just like a late enough game kind of air army to maybe just win out? The fact that Hydras are coming through are brilliant for Rogue, because it really will help a lot when the Carriers are on the field. And these are going to be Carriers without any attack upgrades as well, so they're not going to be the, the craziest of units. And again, there's only going to be, what, one or two of them initially? Hydra's chasing down the Void Rays. I mean, this is good for the fact that it brings the Hydras back home. And then obviously you don't have to deal with the Hydras over on this side of the map. That's a nice disruptor shot to clean out the Locusts. I feel like he actually hit the worst possible shot there, though. He turned around from the big clump of Locusts and went for kind of a middling clump. 3 carriers are out. So I said 1 or 2. That was a bit of a lie. I didn't realize he'd already had 2 carriers finished. So carriers 3 and 4 finish up right now. I mean, these Swarmers are kind of just derping into the natural expansion. Now going to turn away. Where are the Hydras at? They're still down the bottom side. The Void Rays finally just recalled, right? So this was the plan all along from Creator. Draw those Hydras away, recall them Void Rays back home, and then you've got the Hydras completely out of position from Rogue. And it's working, because this army is disintegrating. The Queens are all gone, picked off on their own accord, without any support from anything else around. Oh god, these Hydras, man, they're so scared. They're so flimsy. They fall apart so easily. I mean, if you take a disruptor hit in the middle of those Hydras, that's going to be absolutely brutal. Alright, well, sorry, I missed the main base actually dying, so the Void Rays actually were pretty successful over on this side of the map. So the plan from Creator was brilliant. It worked out in terms of cleaning up the army and to slow down the attack. And it's also worked out in terms of just dealing more damage than I ever thought it would as well. I won't lie, I forgot about those Void Rays because I saw them walking off into the distance, right? And I thought, right, the Hydras are chasing them, that's under control. But apparently it wasn't. And Moroga is now onto like mass Hydras against what is just an ever-improving Protoss army again. And I don't really like it for Rogue. If you know what's really crazy about this game, because I feel like this doesn't happen a lot, it feels like Rogue is being made to dance to the tune of Creator, right? It feels like Creator's like, yo, what's up, buddy? Let's do this, you know, let's party. And, you know, he's being absolutely relentless in terms of dealing damage and just forcing Rogue into certain kind of paths. And it kind of felt like Rogue was on the way to Hydras and it was making a good transition, but you know, that I don't disagree with. What I do find it bad is now that Rogue is kind of on Hydras, he's on mass Hydra, right? Like, this isn't where Rogue wanted to be. He didn't want to have to be in a position where he had to mass Hydras to have hope in this game. He wanted to have something to support these Hydras, but he never really got there, so a little bit rough as we're going to see Swarm Host Locust. There's not a lot they can do, no detection either, so I mean, what you're going to do, jump on top of some invisible disruptors? That doesn't seem like a good idea. Those balls of death are going to appear from absolutely nowhere as he makes his way forward. Man, there's everything here. I guess Storm not ready yet, but disruptor shots and all sorts. It kind of shows you the position that Rogue is in, that he's so desperate trying to make something out of this fight. Really skirting with death, because one or two good disruptor shots into these Hydras, and this game just ends. I just turn back around when you see a couple spores to join in. Has to dodge disruptor shots, but guess what? That does not go very well. Another one lands, and now the Storm's available, and Rogue's army was just not made to fight this level of Protoss. Creator did a fantastic job of surviving in this game. He had to give up the 4th base at a critical moment, but it wasn't that bad because he knew his army was getting better. And he made something happen with his army as well. Again, this base snipe, right? Pulling the Hydras out of position to give him a chance to clean up the army half and half, and then force Rogue to max up on Hydras. Beautifully done. I mean, again, brilliantly played game by Creator. His PvZ lately has been very fun to watch, and you know, it's games like this which make you realize that Creator is playing some of the best Starcraft he's played in years, in my opinion. I know everyone's like, oh, Herpy Dub, Double Stargate, Void Rays, blah, blah, blah. But, like, Creator genuinely has played some really good games lately. And he really can play this style very well. He's definitely much scarier than he's been in a long time. Just coming through as the Storms will come down. That's GG. Creator's going to take us to a game number 3 in our first series of the day. Bottom left-hand side as we're tied up 1-1 in this best of 3. The blue Protoss player from Team NV is Creator. Taking on the red Zerg top right side, it is Rogue. Alright, game 3 of the series. It comes down to this one right now. No pressure, but I actually think this is a pretty big deal because this is just not an easy group, right? I think you got to take every opportunity you have to try and advance out. This is not one of these groups where I'm like, oh yeah, if Rogue drops down to the elimination match, he's gonna just sail, you know, straight on through and just get out anyway. Like, it's fine. And especially if I say that about Rogue, I obviously probably want to say that about Creator as well. So yeah, I'd say this is a pretty big game. A chance to get into the winners match, get into, you know, the playoffs already. Obviously a better seed into the playoffs as well, and that could definitely make a bit of a difference, I think, by the end of this week. Or by the end of the groups, we'll definitely have some notes there. See the probe coming back around. Again, just being annoying early. This was a very early probe sent from Creator, but he didn't get the hatch block off, so hatch got down on the natural, and well, let's follow for a few moments as we see where this game goes. Soundtrack giving us some epic beats. Start the game. Not really beats, are they? But you know, some epic dance. Sound the soundtrack next. Yeah, probe really being as annoying as possible here early as you see the Adepts starting to make progress onto the map, and there's a first Stargate to start us off. Not really surprised about that. I mean, I have seen a little bit of kind of glaives and stuff coming back into PvZ openers, but I still think a lot of the time just opening Stargate, even if you don't go double Stargate Void after, it still just provides you that safety, especially when you play someone like Rogue, who plays sometimes a little bit weird, a little bit aggressive, and so on. Especially at that kind of point in the game, I definitely think there's a lot to say about it as well. That cleans out a crit teamer here and is just going to start falling back once again. Link speed about to finish up. More drones coming through. The Overlord on the way out. Adept. Shade back down through to the bottom side of the map. So away we go. Back out down to the south. Queen is about halfway along right now. Is just going to be seen out Oracle. Up on the Stargate. Warpgate going to be finishing. And the Nexus landing down on that third base as well. So yeah, Oracle to start us off. Let's see what this gives us. I mean, again, Kratos actually found pretty good damage with Oracles every game so far. He's had a pretty good time with them. See the single Ling gonna come around to the little gas clouds here and just hide in the vents. At least a few moments. Follow this Oracle into the main base and see what it's gonna bring to the table. Is gonna get hit by a Spell Crawler pretty much immediately. Did Rogue's Overlord see the Stargate? I can check on that for you. He did. I mean, Rogue has the setup, to defend this. Queen's in position. Oracles? Ooh, so the Oracle's there. A little bit caught up, huh? They kind of went for this, and then they kind of... They kind of petered out, right? Like, it was kind of looking pretty good, and then, like I say, just kind of went a little bit wrong all of a sudden. And obviously, you build a Spore Crawl, you protect a drone, the Oracle derps for a moment, takes some extra shots, and now, now it's low HP. Really handling this much better than we've seen Rogue handle some of the early aggression in the games today. So, yeah, good news in that regard, I guess, as we follow the Oracle now back up into the main base. So in we go. Double Stargate Void's behind this, so we know where this is going in terms of a follow-up. Let's see how Stasis War just... Oh, actually does catch a couple of drones that were just right on the edge there. So a couple of drones do get caught up. Oracle gonna go in for a couple more kills. Gets 3 of them. Cordray gets pushed out down to the bottom side as well. He's going to be seeing the Hydra Den, the +1 missiles continuing through, the Forge is done, and the Robo-Bale follow-up again. So Kratos wants to play the exact same style. He's just out here believing in what he did in the last game and that he can just come through and do it again. I don't blame him, to be fair, right? Last game really went well for him. Rogue going to take a different approach, and I gotta say, the Swarm Hosts, they really kind of... They got a certain amount done, but I really feel like there was a point where they kind of matched, they found their max value as well, where they were just like, okay, we're kind of done now. Like, we've done what we were meant to do. There's not much else for us to do here. So we definitely kind of got to that point with the, with them. So yeah, I kind of like just going into Hydra straight away. Also going to add the Bane Nest. I'm going to play like a little bit of a Ling Bane Hydra setup. Now, Ling Bane Hydra I think can be very good against the Disruptor style. I don't think it's very good immediately for like a lower drone count Ling Bane Hydra attack. But if you get into like a later game Ling Bane Hydra setup, I think that it's very difficult for the Disruptors to necessarily provide proper coverage and defense against that. So, something to watch out for perhaps as we set up here. Adepts trying to shade up to the top. The Voids and a few other Adepts going to make their way out down to the south side as well, so they're going to be out of here, backing away. We do just get ourselves a few moments of peace, as neither player wants to go running into the other guy for a little while. Here comes the Hydras from Rogue, though, starting to move through the middle of the map a little bit. Starting to make a little bit of a play, perhaps. Doesn't go too far just yet, though. I love seeing this +1 air weapons. I feel like that was missing in the previous game, right? was it's only something that's going to help you in the end. Right, if Rogue wants to make a timing happen here, it's got to happen kind of soon. So what's happening right now is that he's getting to Bane speed, etc. The first two carriers are something you can attack into. It's beyond that point. It's going to be very difficult to make a Ling Bane Hydra setup work. So it's starting to be kind of now or never. Drone's going down. Sorry, I didn't actually quite. I was looking on the mini-map to try and find where that was, but I couldn't see it. So a few drones going down. Cryptima fires. Gets fired up on by the disruptor. Nothing's gonna run in. They're just gonna get this depth. So taking that down already. A few of these batteries and cannons in the front lines in some trouble as well. They are starting to go down. Another disruptor from the side shows up. Ling's continuing to fall. Predator is able to push this army of Rogue away. There's now a couple more drones going down up on the top side of the map. These Adepts showing up and having a good time here. So 4 more workers go down. Rogue being kept back at home. Creator buying himself time. Motherships on the way. More carriers are on the way. Surely you have to go sooner rather than later at the moment. Let's see, Ling Bane Hydra making its way around the bottom side. More Queens of Rogue going through the center. Shot fires up. Ling Bane Hydra splits away. These sentries kind of getting caught, and that hurts, right? So sentry's taking a lot of damage now. Baneling connects and gets that sentry kill. 2 more disruptor shots firing away as well. Big shots on the cannons as Rogue. He needs to try and make his way through the stack defense, but honestly he isn't really having much success with it so far. He gets to the mineral line. He's got a lot of Hydras and Queens on the top side, right? That's what we're not seeing by looking down the bottom. And now 21 probes have gone down. Has it just been enough from Rogue on this push? Like I was saying, he had to hit before the carrier count got too high. Creator's not actually using his carriers. He's going to give up the 4th base to let the carriers get to as high a count as possible. Maybe waiting for the mothership. Oh man, this is a brave play by Creator, because he's got the carriers to help himself defend, but he's not decided to put them into use yet. Well, now the carriers do have to fight, right? There's no way you can give up the 3rd base. You need to hold this, if nothing else, so... yeah, okay. Queen's going in for the pylon. A few Lings break through and blowing up some of the, some of the pylons in the natural, right? So taking down some of the production. And these carriers have to go. I know he's waiting for the mothership or so, but there is no more time to wait. You gotta commit in for this. Here we go. The carriers come through. The Voiders to support. The Hydra's trying to kill off any of these interceptors possible. The interceptor count is down. The interceptor count is at pretty much 0. There's only a few Hydras remaining, but they're getting their way through these Void Rays. They are going to have to run back out of here. The mothership shows up with 2 more carriers. Rogue still does not have a good answer to carriers, but 80 drones against 47, maybe he can just outnumber and outmatch. Maybe, just maybe. Things on the natural getting picked away. They get pushed back. The Spire on the way down from Rogue in the back of this main base, and just going to be seeing +2 melee, +1 carapace. All of this coming through right now as well is just going to be seeing our carrier. Also on the way up, going to be finishing in just a few moments. Man, I'm really surprised. Like, in a way, it kind of felt like he waited so long to fight it, and yeah, he won the fight, but so much of this waiting didn't achieve anything, right? Because so much of this waiting, he never got the mothership for the fight. The mothership and the 2 extra carriers came in so late, so in the end, he waited for no gain, really. Well, it's an interesting question of, do you guys think that Rogue can make something work? He's got a Spire, and I think that's one of the biggest parts of this now. The fact that he's going to have access to Corruptors, right? Like, being able to build Corruptors here is going to be absolutely huge. Having Corruptors instead of the Hydras, so That is going to be massive as we see Rogue making his way down the left-hand side. These Lings looking as though they're going to go and jump in on top of this Nexus. Put some damage onto it. We're going to turn, and we do see the few changelings getting picked off. A hallucinated Phoenix is going to start making its way out up to the top right-hand side. So away it goes. Plenty of creep spread out in the middle of the map as well. As we got to the left, I mean, a lot of Hydras going down. The Overseer's pushed back, and the Archon is going to go down. These other Hydras are going to get rid of one of the Void Rays. The other Void Ray taking a lot of damage. I mean, obviously now a lot of Infestors on the way up too. One of the things that Rogue really has this game as well is economy, right? 5 bases, and he doesn't have like a massive bank that he's sitting on or anything. He's just got a good steady income with 85 drones. He really is just making money and spending it as he needs. So, you know, that part of it is obviously pretty substantial as well. Some good news there as we see Creator just... He's holding back and he's on his way to Storm. I don't mind it. It does feel like he's given Rogue a lot of time, but I think this is time that Creator needs as well, right? Without the Storm and so on, I don't think he's in a very good position, so I don't mind him going for the Storm to be, you know, to be safe about that. We're going to be seeing a couple more changelings getting popped. Neural Parasite is on the way on the Infestation Pit. We're going to see Corruptors, Hydras, and Festers all pulling back up towards the top side. Continuing to consume a bit of energy up off this hatchery, and again plenty of spore crawlers from Rogue ready to push on down the bottom side of the map as well. A couple Void, Storm Charge plus 3 air weapons. All of this still being brought into play as well. I think Rogue's very happy to sit back because he really is starting to control the map. Obviously, you don't really want to let the Frost player do too much in that regard, but he does come in, deny the 5th base. That's all he really needs, and that's a yoink on the mothership. Abducted, but not killed. Yoink number 2 is moving forward very slowly due to the time warp, and because of that, gets hit by a feedback, and so the mothership will live to hide units for another day. I love why Rogue is taking this, right? Infestors, Corruptors, Create a Spire on the way so you have something to use these Corruptors for if you clear out the air army. Maybe you even do add in a couple of Broodlords along the way with this as well. I don't necessarily think that's a terrible idea either. Disruptor shot fires, the Ling Hydra backs away. Just going to see the rest of these Overseers, Corruptors, and all the rest of it continuing to come down through the middle of the map. Ultra's Cavern comes up over here. The Corruptors lay waste to a carrier. Everything else from Creator still just joining up together. Out down the bottom side, Lings and Hydras pushing forwards. Gonna get their way through a couple of these cannons and this gateway, so able to clean this out nice and quickly. Now the Void Ray is starting to come in through the bottom side, and just gonna be seeing the back and forth continuing. Creator's really stuck for money. He's only got 4 bases, right? So he's really just not got what he needs, and he's got gas here that he's not mining properly, you know, which is kind of going to become essential because his gas in the main is gone. Gas in the natural has about 600 left. And more importantly than that, though, he needs to actually just get a 5th base. Without a 5th base, Rogue is just going to choke Creator out of this game, which has been Rogue's plan for a little while now. This has absolutely been where Rogue wanted to take this game too, and that's why he started playing a little bit more slowly. You know, once Storm was on the way up and so on, you know, maybe he had some timings to fight, but he said, no, you know what, I'd rather just let this play out. I'd rather just let this set up. As Carriers, Voids, and Archons coming through. A couple of Voids get abducted into the Spore Crawlers, and guess what? They go down immediately, so they fall. On the bottom side, these are the couple of Carriers still firing, and Hydra's taking a lot of damage as well. Disruptor shot goes through. Boom! Goodbye to the Hydralisks. They take a beating. I mean, now these carriers get caught off guard though, right? These are free pickings. 3 carriers for free. That is not what you want to have happen. Somehow one of them's alive still. Okay, so you get 2 free carriers. Better than 3 free carriers, for sure. As you see the Ultra's production continue. I mean, the Ultras just give you that sturdiness on the ground. It gives a slowdown to the Archons. It forces that High Templar back in some scenarios. The Ultras actually do have a reasonable role to play here. There's a reason you add them. They're not... They kind of like, you know, headbutt units, right? You throw them at your opponent, but for good reason, as the 5th base of Creator is now on the way up, and that's one of the things we've been talking about. You want to try and make sure you deny that if you are Rogue here. It's been one of the key factors as to why Creator is in a tough spot in this game. I love this run by mine. Just 12 workers going down. Maybe you lose a robo as well. You do. I mean, this is just annoying, if nothing else. She does a big run by. You've got not really a lot to deal with it. Some of the Lings get away even. You make a push to go and kill the top left base of Rogue, so he's going to lose out there. I love that he's starting to set up hatches on the bottom right, though, because it's clear that Creator is really prioritizing the left side of the map. His expansion is there. His army is there. So why the hell not give up on these bases for now? Take Creator's bases on the bottom right, because if nothing else, if he has to put an army down here to deny these bases, it opens up this base, unless he splits the army correctly and aptly enough, right? But then you can maybe jump on a, half split army or so. It's the right decision from Rogue, because it puts economic pressure on Creator, where he says, well, I'm still expanding to a lot more bases than you are. You got to keep denying these bases, because otherwise I'm going to outmine you, whether you get a 5th base or not. Even again, Tectonic destabilizes now, so it looks like we might be seeing Tempest soon. They're going to be needed to help break through this Spore Crawler Forest. If you look at the Structures tab, 42 spores on the map. There's a few Zealots go down here. The Ultras will deal with that for the moment, so gets rid of that one. A few moments of calming down in this 21-minute game, waiting for the next moves, but obviously is the kind of game that slows down a fair amount at this point. Ultras starting to chew their way through a set of rocks there in the front. Sonic comes moving through, picks off a couple of creep tumors. We've seen some extra changes dropping down here as well, so the Overseer's going to drop those down in position in the middle of the map. A lone Archon comes to the upper left-hand side, shot in the hatchery, but not really too much. Everything else moving out down to the bottom right. This Archon just about survives as the Mortal is there to push that back. Do well. First carry gets hit big time, and now the mothership is also going to go down. Picking off a couple observers. High Templar is trying to throw some warning storms down, pushing those Corruptors back yet again. Viper's going to start being transfused. Ultra's coming through. The Tempest's on the way out. It's going to be seeing +3 shields on the way in as well. Just continue to make progress for all of this. I mean, at this stage, it really is just this standoff on this left side. Creator did clean out the bottom right. He gets this Nexus up and running there. Of course, he still doesn't have this base, and Rogue is going to take the top left. And I'm not sure if this base really survives all that long either. It's a pretty cute little Neural just going to grab himself an Oracle kill. And even the Infestor survives, 2 HP, survived the storms. Each engines get taken down. Just going to be seeing Ultras and Infestors out on the left-hand side. More of these Corruptors and Overseers going to fly back to the right with the Vipers in tow. 3 more Spore Crawlers on the way up at the moment. So Rogue bringing these into play. Voids and Tempest clearing out some changelings out on that low ground. Gonna see the Tempest gonna start to actually get some shots off on spores here. And they'll get obliterated by those tectonic destabilizers, right? That upgrade just means the ground units or the ground buildings disintegrate. That's a fungal, but that's a dead infestor for the fungal growth. 25 minutes in game and we're stalling out a little bit. Druids are being made by Rogue as well, so looking to utilize those a little bit, sending changelings in. I mean, it takes up some APM of Creator, I guess, right, to target those down. Tempests are back in play, just messing up. These spores a little bit. Fungal growth's going down. I love those fungals because these High Templar are really vulnerable, so the Ultras are able to dive on them. Suddenly the Storms are gone. Very different fight right now for these Corruptors to come into. The Voids are still scary, however. The Voids, if they prismatically align, those Corruptors are going to melt, and Rogue very much so knows it, and that's why he's playing this so carefully. Everything hanging out on the right side. Now on the bottom right, you're going to see a Nexus setting up as well. Building up over here, Voids and Tempests put themselves together as we're going to be seeing a Spore Crawler gets taken down, a Creep Teamer gets picked off. If the Queen's in some trouble, it's going to go down as well. And the little Fungal Growth hits onto the Void Rays. And now the Ultra's going to charge through again. This time they want to try and jump on this. Whoa, what's the recall for? He recalls like a chunk of units back there, which I felt like just took away potential damage onto these Ultralisks. Corruptor count isn't high enough to one-shot the Tempest at the moment, which is causing a few issues, making life a little more difficult. Okay, it is there, actually. They have enough. It's just they weren't in sync, so they were getting, the Tempest were ending up getting healed. Rogue loses a bunch of Overlords in this fight, or Overseers, I suppose, so he gets supply blocked coming out of it. Needs some more Ovies so he can then choose what to rebuild with. He's got the bank to work on. But because it's actually going to delay him rebuilding, Creator might get a chance to actually fight up to the top side. So Creator is going to find the opportunity to push into the upper left-hand side because of the way that this game is going. Because of that supply block, slowing things down. The Corruptors show up for like half a moment here. And you lose another Overseer. Supply block to gain. 25 Corruptors are coming through. They all have to join up as well together. 23 drones going down. This means Rogue's army is going to be larger than it's been before because he's got way less workers in this fight. So that's something really worth keeping in mind on this one as well, as we're going to be seeing. Well, Corruptor's going to come through again. Nice fungal growth on top of carriers and so on. Goes around the top side, making their way forward. There's a little disruptor on the ground there. I'm not sure if it connected on anything or not. More Corruptors are showing up. Here we go. I mean, you got to go for this right now. You got to try and target down these units. You don't want to be fighting Interceptors. I don't know what the Corruptors are fighting. It's just an absolute chaos, a blur of units. Tempests are still firing. The thing is, Tempests are not amazing against Corruptors. So actually, while it was looking bad for Rogue as the supplies were dropping, I think what's left over for Creator is likely to die much more quickly than what Rogue is going to have dying. You can see here he's running back to like a couple batteries or anything he can find. Now all of these Tempests are going to go down. That's a lone Void Ray, maybe two. Creator's just going to type out GG. Holy crap, what a game. That was feeling very close up to the end. It was really, really very, very close until the very end there, but Rogue is able to take it down. My goodness. Let's take a quick quick rewind here. Have a quick look to see what's going on. It's just such a hectic fight. Like, at this moment, I was like, man, Rogue's in some trouble. Like, he's got money to rebuild with, don't get me wrong. But the thing is, as well, his army supply is still good, right? And what's actually still in this army of Creator is like 5 carries and 9 Tempests. At the end of the day, the problem is none of these really kill these Corruptors very quickly. So watch this Corruptor count. It just doesn't go anywhere for the longest time. You lose 2 right now while you're killing. You're basically losing a Corruptor every time you one-shot one of these carriers or Tempests, which is 100% massive value. And then obviously you've got the Reinforcing Corruptor starting to show up, and the Reinforcements of Creator will never come through as quickly as that. And like I said, at this one you end up with these Tempests, which are just never going to have the damage output on the Corruptors. You're just cleaned up on the ground. They're going to go start cleaning up bases. Creator doesn't really have much mining left anywhere anyway. Again, a lot of his probes weren't really doing anything because he only had this base, because he was never able to go elsewhere in the game. He never got the bottom right up because he'd had such a difficult time getting this left side up. He basically needed to mine out here and then swing attention down to the bottom right fully, but the problem was the longer he waited, the bigger Rogue's bank was going to be, and the larger problem you're going to end up having there anyway. GG's, and Rogue is going to go to the winner's match 2-1 over Creator.